Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching in the world. Welcome along to TTL F1 with the 16th season, round number 9. And we go now to the Japanese Grand Prix here at the legendary Suzuka circuit. My name is Kieran McGinley, and joining me in the commentary box is the lovely Mr. James Head. James, it's been a while for me. I'm glad to be back. 3 rounds to go. How are you?
I'm doing really well, yeah. First off, I just want to apologise for last week. It was, yeah, my internet died halfway through the formation up, so that's why you didn't get a race. I'm sorry, but other than that, I'm doing well.
Oh, fantastic stuff. And, well, obviously, a lot's happened since we've been away, James. We've had a rerun of the Belgian Grand Prix. That's where I left off. Much cleaner that time. It went well, I thought, that time. Then we had the Singapore Grand Prix. And now we come here to Japan. 3 rounds to go then. And if I'm just having a quick look at the table here, I've caught myself out here while trying to look at the table. But Drivers' Championship as it stands then, Recon on 105 with Navy on 89, Carlsbury in 3rd on 88 with Warren in 4th on 80 points, Calsper in 5th on 50 with Spike in 6th on 45, King J in 7th on 37 with Draw in 8th on 35, Lighty and Toxic tied for 9th place, both on 34 points, Mashiro is in 11th on 30 points, Sean in 12th on 24, Key in 13th on 15 points, Rafa in 14th with 13 points, although he is a reserve driver, Cass in 15th tied with the Gort, they're both on 12 points, Chaos is in 17th on 8 points. Maze as a reserve, they're in 18th on 6 points. Jeffrey in 19th and Mercedes on 3 points. Looking at the constructors' standings then, well, Racing Point are showing some, they've had some good pre-season form in the 2020 season. They're having a great time here in TTL F1 this season round. They are leading the way, 137 points to Ferrari's 2nd place of 123. Then it's Alfa Romeo in 3rd place on 112, McLaren in 4th on 89, Red Bull in 5th on 78 points, Haas in 6th on 71, Renault in 7th on 63 with Mercedes in 8th on 58, Toro Rosso in 9th on 53, and Williams rounds it out on 42 points. Just to cover some new drivers and slash reserve drivers, some of the drivers driving for next season have been allowed to be given reserve seats. Reserve seats haven't really been around in TTL since a couple of seasons ago. We've had permanent drivers, not really many reserve drivers. That bucks the trend this season. We've brought in reserve drivers for the last 3 rounds and seeing if we can encourage and get these drivers ready for the next season to come. So Chaos is taking over at the Mercedes. I believe Cass is a new introduction. I believe that's the case. We've also got Toxic, who's moved up to a full-time seat in Red Bull. Shapalele is in the Renault as well. Feel free to just jump in and correct me if I'm wrong here, but we're counting down in towards the race here, and James, a couple of fresh faces, a couple of reserve drivers, but still the old familiars are at the top of the championship. How do you see the Japanese round going then?
Honestly, if it's anything like the previous couple of rounds, I honestly see it as being too close to call. Because you can see the championship standings, the evidence is there. Recon on 105, Navy on 89, Carlsbury on 88, Warren on 80. They're all here tonight. Calsper, who I think is an outside contender for the championship with 3 races to go, could still do it. He's been gaining some good form, and he won last time out in the Singapore race as well. And it's going to be really interesting to see how these guys get on out on track. And I think, on paper, I say it pretty much every week, but on paper, this should be the rest of the season.
Oh,
I've said it again. I've said it again.
Said it again, absolutely. Well, looking at the weather here in Suzuka, it's a bit cloudy, bit overcast, but there are some blue skies on the horizon there, so hopefully we get some good track running here. The pit lane is covered in a mountain of shade, to be honest with you, with the pit window or the pit lane building overlooking it, but the track on the right-hand side looks like there's some sun on it, so hopefully there's a bit of temperature in the track, and hopefully we can get some good lap times here on the board. And who will be the first to emerge from their garage and making their way out towards this legendary Suzuka circuit? And it looks like it is a Racing Point here, and that is either going to be Vitinho or it is going to be Calsper, and it is Vitinho making his way now down towards the pit lane exit and it re-emerges here for the Japanese Grand Prix and for qualifying here at the legendary Suzuka circuit, running on board with the Brazilian here as he makes his way through turn 2. And obviously, James, it's a track that really depends on high aero, especially this first S section.
Yeah, the drivers have got to get the setup right, especially through this first section. You can see the S section, how hunkered down the car will actually be going through depends obviously on the wings and the aerodynamics of the car. Hopefully everyone is going to run a very similar setup. Obviously, I don't expect it to be just the same completely for all of the drivers. They will have their own areas, they'll have their own expertise in those for their setups, and hopefully we will see a very competitive qualifying, which I normally see around here in Japan every single time I come here.
Well, there you go then. Overcast section as we head towards the spoon curve then, riding on board with Vitinho as he now navigates and negotiates his way through. And obviously 16 drivers here tonight. Vitinho now making his way on towards that legendary 130R. In the old days, you used to have to lift off through this corner up until about, well, even further than 10 years ago, I'd say about 15 years ago, you stopped lifting through there as the cars create so much downforce. But riding on board with Vitinho then as he makes his way now down that fast right-hander down the hill. Watch out for that bump on the exit, it can really catch you out then. Vitinho making his way down towards turn 1, and it's a misleading corner this one. Chuck the car into turn 1 and then do your braking halfway through it in towards turn 2. Try and keep the car nice and balanced through there. It's very easy to lock the brakes. Now heading through the S section, through turn 3, then through turn 4. The track can camber in places to help you, but unlike here, just at the crest of turn 4, it can really work against you if you're not careful. Through turn 6, then upwards through turn 7. Careful of that curve on the inside there. As we head through Dunlop curve, it can really unsettle the car, as we just saw there. Through the Degner curves, through Degner 1, and then onwards now towards Degner 2. A nice corner this one, really easy to hit the marks there as the track cambers towards the apex. Through the slight kink of turn 10 in towards the hairpin of turn 11. Slowest corner on the track. Keep it nice and under control. Make sure you minimise the wheel spin as much as possible. Now heading through the long right-hander of turn 12. Trust me, it's all one corner as we make our way now towards the double left-hander of spoon curve through turn 13 and then through turn 14 here. 13 you can try and take a bit more speed through, but turn 14 tightens halfway through the corner. It's very easy to overcommit now. Full throttle as we make our way towards 130R now, and turn 15. You can see here it's just about picking the right point and scrubbing off the least amount of speed heading through here, and now on towards the final couple of corners through the Casio triangle, through turn 16, then through turn 17. Keep it nice and gathered up. Now heading down the hill. Watch the bump there as he makes his way now towards that start finish line, and Vitinho then 129.4 from the Brazilian puts him on provisional pole position. I think a nice lap there, but obviously he did make that mistake at the Dunlop curve there, so lots of time to find, I'm sure.
Yeah, Vitinho 29.4. It's exactly what you want for a bank lap around here, to be honest. Brazilian 6 tenths ahead of Spike. Warren made a mistake on his lap as well, as Kalsper goes into the 28 already. 28.1. Are we going to get 27s already? Might do. Chapelletti's just gone 200s off him as well.
Absolutely, and Kalsper there, 128.1, as you quite rightly said, James, topping the standings right now. And obviously, it's great to see that lovely track map there on the right-hand side. We've got Jeffrey off there. Yeah, Jeffrey off, I believe. That is at turn 6 there.
Same point as Warren.
Yeah, absolutely. And so Jeffrey there will have to abandon his lap time then, as he now gets well out of the way. And it's always really difficult to do through the S section. It's just so easy to get it all wrong. We've got Warren here who's making his way through turn 2. Now, a little bit of an interesting fact for you here, James. It's his first TTL race with the wheel, with ABS off, and he's also carrying on with a broken wrist, apparently. So hopefully he's got the force feedback turned down as much as possible. But expect to see him, not necessarily struggle, but it's always very difficult. I always found the transition from controller to wheel to be the most difficult thing I think I've ever done in racing. And I'm still trying to get the hang of it.
Yeah, I think, honestly, if a driver obviously goes from the controller to the wheel, they've just got to really try and chew that up, get as much practice as possible in as they can. Warren looking good, by the way, on this lap. He's on this had a hard compound of tyres, just running down towards Spoon Curve now, coming through turn 13. And this is looking pretty competitive from him. And if he's driving with a broken wrist, then it doesn't really tell, apart from that little slight moment on the outside curb there. Looks like a good lap, this.
Could be. Obviously, he set a banker lap of a 2:13, and obviously back in, I believe it was 2011, when DRS was a huge thing, you used to be able to run towards 130R with the DRS open, then it would close for 130R, then you could open it again, and then they just decided, you know what, there's no point having DRS through there. I think they made the right call. Now heading through with Warren through the final corner and on towards that start-finish line, and it is a 130.8, but of course he is on the hard compounder tyres, so not a bad lap time at all, really.
Not a bad lap time at all. Spike obviously is quicker than him on the hard compounded tyres, and fastest actually on the hard is Recon with 29.3. But Warren 1.5 seconds off. I think it's what you expect, really. If it's his first race with the wheel, it's what you've come to expect. I think he can only get quicker as the races go on. Obviously 2 races left after this one. Hopefully he can produce a good performance, and looking at that, I think he can still find a lot of time, and Sean's just gone in behind him for 10th as well.
Yeah, 10th as well, again on those hard tyres. Navy is coming back to the pits. He's in P4 right now. Recon in 5th place. I think he's on a flying lap. He's on the hard tyres. No, he's coming back into the pit lane there. Carlsbury is making his way back towards the pits. 6th place on a set of the medium tyres right now. Obviously the track is still warming up. We're still getting rubber down out on the track, but at the moment, with just over 10 minutes to go, Carlsberg is leading from Shapalele in 2nd, Mashiro 3rd, with Navy in 4th, Recon in 5th, Carlsbury in 6th, Vitinho 7th, with Spike in 8th, Warren in 9th, and Sean rounds out the top 10 so far. We're waiting for all the other lap times outside of the top 10 so far. And Mashiro, actually, in front of his home fans, doing pretty well so far, P3.
28.9 on a set of softs. Very good lap there. Ahead of Navy, of course, who is our one of our championship contenders coming into tonight. Warren, by the way, has just improved on a lap. It was a 130.3. So, as I say, finding time on that set of hard compounded tyres. And as the track evolves, I think we'll really get to see the times start to come down. I wouldn't be surprised if we get a mid-27 here, as Warren has actually just made a mistake out of turn 2.
Well, I have to say as well, Cass was really pushing it through the Degner curves, actually on the curve, on the exit, on the entrance, I should say, into Degner 2, and then he was just carrying a little bit too much speed through there, so he's abandoned that lap. I think it might have been invalidated anyway. Actually, it wouldn't have, because the track map is not red, so it wasn't invalidated. It was just a bit of a scruffy... Yeah, he overcommitted, I think, in the Degner curve, so he's going to go for another attempt, I guess. Yeah,
well, he's showing up on my screen that he's on an out lap, so...
Ah, well.
That's strange.
Who do we believe then? I wonder. Well, Key at the moment in 11th place, yet to set a lap time on those hard tyres. In fact, I believe Toxic is closer to the line as he makes his way through the Casio triangle on the soft set of tyres down towards that last corner. There's the bump there. You can see the opposite lock on there. Toxic coming towards the line, and even with the opposite lock, goes fastest 128.0. Shows just on the limit of control there, and still able to set the fastest lap time of the session so far. So that puts him top of the table as it stands. We've got a Renault coming towards the line. That's Shapalele looking to start a lap time here. I wonder if that's the Gort heading towards the line to set his lap time. He does. 129.1, which puts him into 6th place. We've got a racing point of Vitinho also starting a flying lap. King J, the only Haas here, also starting a flying lap as well. Vitinho having to get out of the way here, actually, as he makes his way towards 130R. And yeah, he has invalidated that, has he? I'm not sure, because the track map's not red. That's normally the telltale sign. As Cass once again, whoa, coming into the Degners. Very, very hot there indeed. And he's just got to try and not overcommit through the Degners there, because it's so easy to do. But he is giving this lap everything he possibly can.
He has, and I think he's given it a bit too much, because that track map for me is showing as red. So I think he might have invalidated that. But the Den obviously doing a good job currently. He hasn't set a lap time, but if he can get that consistency on a lap, even if it's just a banker and he goes around the likes of Spike and Key sort of area, he's got that lap in. That's what I think will suit him best, because these drivers have got to get a lap in around this track. The favourites, I think, are probably going to be in the top 5 for the race win.
Well, here comes Cass then, through that Casio triangle and onwards now towards the final corner. No, he's coming back into the pit lane. Well, that's pretty much standard, really, isn't it? I follow him for the entire lap and then he pits in. Just a standard sort of me in the commentary box.
Kalsper's nearly a tenth up coming around the final corner. He's to the line now. Just goes behind Toxic. 700ths off.
Yeah, not a bad lap time at all from the Racing Point car. 28.085. That's only around about 700ths off that top time at the moment. Just over 7 minutes to go. It is Toxic still topping the table with Kalsper in second, Chapelele in third. Mashiro's dropped down to fourth with that improvement from Toxic, but Navy there is in fifth place, currently on an out lap. Let's see what tyres he's on. He's on the soft tyres. So in terms of strategy, James, what can we be looking for?
I've obviously, I can't even get my words out. The strategy, I think, honestly, these guys have got to get onto a set of soft compound of tyres, go around to lap 7, lap 8, medium compound of tyres to the end of the race. 19, 20 laps around here, it can be done. I've seen it done around here plenty of times before. So I think softs to mediums possibly the strategy to bear in mind. But if anybody decides to go on a set of medium compound of tyres, of course, especially further down the field, they will be looking to go around the halfway point, then try and put on a set of soft compound of tyres. But they'll try and go halfway to around, I think, lap 16, lap 17, and then go on a set of softs.
Well, you've got Warren here and Chapelele. I wonder if Chapelele is going to actually back out of this one, or if is he coming back to the pit lane. Yeah, he's coming back to the pit lane. That's why he didn't leave a lot of gap there to himself and the Red Bull. Otherwise, he might have had a mountain of dirty air in his face. We've got Carlsbury, though, is making his way through the Casio Triangle. A couple of cars behind him as well as he makes his way through the final corner and onwards now towards that start-finish line. Shortest run to the line possible, 27.7 from Carlsbury there. Great lap time from the Alfa Romeo, and it puts him at the top of the table.
Fantastic lap by Carlsbury, really excelling. Recon as well is improving by 1.6 seconds through the middle sector. He's up to the Casio Triangle now through 16, then into 17. Got to make sure you don't catch this bump on the inside of the corner. I think Recon's actually going to take it here. He does like going late in qualifying, but he actually goes early a bit this time. It's a 27.3. That is an extraordinary lap, and it even beats my prediction of mid-27s.
Well, the question is now, James, could someone get into the 126s? We know how good the Dutchman is in qualifying. And, I think it's possible. 3/10 around here is doable, I would say. Well, if it's not in my hands, James, yes, it's definitely doable.
I think it's doable as well, and I'm looking towards Kalsper or Chapelele possibly to try and get into the 26s. I think obviously those guys are about 7/10 off, 9/10 off for Chapelele as well. If they really put in a really nice lap and get the tyres right and get the track right and get the corners right, they'll be right up there. Warren, by the way, has just gone 6th with a 28.3 as well.
Riding aboard with Vitinho, then we were riding aboard with him when he set his first flying lap and the first flying lap of qualifying all together. Here he comes then through 130R, riding on board with him full throttle through there as he now makes his way towards that Casio Triangle on his flying lap. Then nice and tidy entry, nice and tidy on the exit actually, now making his way through the final corner. Watch the bump, very close to the wall on the right hand side there, and Vitinho improves on his lap time and now goes up to P10, 29.2.
The way that car angled, I thought it was going to go into the pit wall. Honestly, he did so well to keep it out of the wall there. 29.2 though, he goes 10th, found about nearly 2/10 of a second on that lap. Very respectful, he's ahead of Spike by about 500. I think what's not to like about that lap? Good lap.
Yeah, absolutely. Spike there, currently P11, 29.3 from him so far, but he's gone back out on a set of the medium tyres, so obviously he's looking for the alternate strategy, just trying to get it into the top 10 and see what happens in the race. Let's see who's coming towards the line there. Is that the Gort on an out lap? It is not. It is actually Mashiro, who I believe is on a flying lap right now. Well, he's got 100% energy, so something is a little bit off about that one. Anyway, he's coming towards the line now, which I believe he'll start another flying lap, which he does. And the Japanese driver in front of his home fans has already shown in the early parts of qualifying that he has the pace. Can he manage to convert that on a much more rubbered-in track? The Gort is also on an out lap. We've also got, I believe that's Key on an out lap, making his way towards the Casio Triangle. Vitinho then should be on some sort of lap, I wonder. He's in mode 1, coming towards 130R. So I think he will be coming in. I think you're right there. We've also got then Spike. So Spike will be the first person towards the line as we see it to set a new lap time here as we make our way towards the Casio Triangle, riding on board with Spike. Vitinho was on a lap time. Well, he's He's especially gone... oh no, he has come back into the pit lane, that's why then. Anyway, Spike coming towards the line. Can he improve on P11? Yes, he can. He goes into P7, half a second improvement on his own personal best, and that puts him onto the 4th row of the grid in 7th place.
Half a second improvement there on a set of medium compound of tyres, 28.8. I think that's got him comfortably within the top 10. Very nice lap there. He's going to be the exception rather than the rule. I think in terms of strategy, you're going to be seeing him probably go to around halfway during the race and then pit in and then try and go set the softs to the end of the race. Obviously, the softs will probably last about 6-7 laps and then they'll go off, I think.
Here comes Mashira then towards the line. No, he comes back into the pit lane then, so that's really going to rule him out for any further running because it's going to be such a quick turnaround. Actually, he's not going to get a chance to go back out at all because by the time he makes it back, there won't be any time left for him at all. So the Gort then, riding aboard with him, he's 800s up through the second sector on his own personal best as he makes his way now in towards the Casio Triangle. Nice and smooth on the controls there as he makes his way now through the final corner. Onwards now towards the start-finish line. What can he do here? It's up to P9 for the Gort there. 128.9. These are where the lap times will come in thick and fast here as Spike is at the hairpin here trying to get some sort of gap as it's all getting a little bit bunched up here at the hairpin as Shapalele is on an outlap. So too is Warren, looking to try and get some slipstream there, I reckon. Sean then, I believe, is coming towards the line as it's starting to get a little bit overcast over the start-finish line. 14th place then for Sean. We've got Cass there who's making his way through the S's, so that means Recon then is coming towards the line to start a new flying lap then. So the Dutchman on a 127.3 right now. Let's see if he can go even quicker than that. Toxic is also starting a flying lap. Also shown he is on the pace today, but 7/10 off pole position as it stands. He needs to pull out a really good lap time if he wants that pole position here. We've also got the Alfa Romeo who's just crossed the line there, I believe. I'm trying to spot another Alfa Romeo out there. Oh, it was Carlsbury, that's why. He was right towards the top of the table. But he's on a flying lap as well. 27.7 again. Half a second, really, the difference between the two of them right now. Just under, at least. So as the checkered flag will come out now. There it is, end of the session. So Spike then comes back towards the pit lane. He has abandoned his lap. How about Kalsper? He's out there through the S's. We had Vitinho, who has now crossed the start-finish line. He finishes outside of the top 10. Let's see other drivers out there. The Gort then is making his way back towards the pit lane. We've got a Ferrari here of Cass making his way towards the line. And Carlsby's actually been disqualified from the session entirely there for driving the wrong way. So Carlsbury out then. He made I think he made a mistake at the Dunlop curve, and obviously now he's been disqualified. So, well, read into that as much as you like. I don't think he meant to drive backwards on purpose. Sean then is coming back into the pit lane. Let's have a look at the Dutchman here of Recon as he makes his way towards the start-finish line. Can he go even quicker? 27.0 from the Ferrari there. So close to the 26s. However, it's not over yet. Toxic making his way towards the line, but he's in mode 0. He's backed off of this one. We'll have P2 right now. I believe King J is on a flying lap here. He's on the medium tyres as he makes his way towards the start-finish line. Can he improve on P14? He can indeed. Up to P8 he goes. Good lap time from him on those medium tyres. We've got a Mercedes making his way back towards the pit lane. That is Jeffrey. We've got Warren then making his way towards the start-finish line. P2 for Warren. Very, very close there. Kalsper beats him though. P2 for Kalsper. Up onto the front row of the grid. 27.5 then from the racing point there. And as all the cars have now finished qualifying, Recon has once again got himself onto pole position by almost half a second. A great lap time from the Dutchman.
Unreal lap time by Recon. I mean, how's he found that pace compared to the rest of the drivers? I do not know. Kalsberg going second, looked a very clean lap as well, just didn't have the pace. And Warren third. First race on a wheel.
First race on a wheel, and also a broken wrist, as so he tells us. So that's a pretty good result from him.
Ahead of Toxic.
Absolutely, 1,000th between the Red Bulls. That's a pretty good team if I've ever seen one. But your qualifying results then for the Japanese Grand Prix. It is Recon on pole position, Kalsper in second with Warren third and Toxic in fourth. Navy in fifth with Shapalele in sixth. Spike in seventh with King J in eighth. Mashiro in front of his home fans in ninth with the Gort rounding out the top 10. Vitinho in 11th, Key in 12th. Jeffrey 13th with Sean 14th. Cass in 15th and Carlsbury could have been right up there actually, but He was disqualified from the session, so he'll have to start from the back of the grid. He'll be ruining that one because, well, obviously he was right up there on the front row of the grid, and that could be a moment for Carlsbury there to really think back on. Obviously, I would assume he never wanted to drive backwards around the circuit. I think he made a mistake at the Dunlop curve, tried to rejoin the track, and for whatever reason, he's been given the black flag by the stewards. So he has to start from the back of the grid. There's nothing he can do about it now. He's just got to stay focused.
Yeah, Carlsbury obviously is within the championship fight as well, so that is going to cost him in terms of mentality, I think. But hopefully he will do it. And I think it's not the first time he's done it this season, if I recall. I'm sure earlier on in the season, it might have been China, I think it was, where he also reversed and got disqualified from the qualifying session.
It does ring a bell, doesn't it? But, well, here we are then.
He's unlucky.
Japanese Grand Prix. We do need a Mr. James top 3 for this Grand Prix.
Ooh.
Can we make that a thing? I don't know. Are we going to make
James
it
top 3? May as well.
James top 3 for the Grand Prix. Let's do it.
My top 3, oh my god. I never get my predictions right anyways. It is a bit overcast actually out on track. Are we going to get rain in the race, I wonder? I'm going to check the comments just to make sure on that. Well, before I predict.
See how he's avoiding the question here? Well, Recon is pole position, as we all saw there on the soft tyres. Let's have a look at those drivers outside of the top 10 because they will be the ones that are starting on a fresh set of tyres. Well, they've all gone for the medium tyres. Vitinho, Key, Jeffrey, Sean, Cass. We've got a little bit of garnish there going through the S's. But anyway, Key, Jeffrey, Sean, Cass and Carlsbury all on those medium tyres, and they're brand new medium tyres as well. So we'll have to see how that goes during the race. So James, what's any idea of the weather?
Weather looks dry. I've had no comments in the comment section about the weather, so I'm just presuming it's going to be dry. So I'm going to predict the top 3. Recon to take the win. I think he's been lucky the last 2 races. Obviously starting off in qualifying, not taking that form to the race, where obviously he got beat by Carlsbury last time out in Singapore as well. I think for second, I'm going to go for Toxic. I think he's doing a very good race in the Red Bull. Only 1,000th off his teammate as well. It's bound to suit him up. And I think third, if I was to go for a bit of an outsider, let's put him in. Carlsbury for third.
Carlsbury for third. So the man starting at the back of the grid on those medium tyres on the alternate strategy. James has gone for P3. Well, let us know who you think is going to win here in the Japanese Grand Prix here for TTL F1. And make sure you give your full support for your favourite driver, or maybe even your favourite team here in TTL F1. But as Recon makes his way now on towards that start-finish line, of course, the grid slot here for pole position is on the left-hand side. A bit of controversy about that over the years, of course. However, it is on the racing line nowadays. But you are on the outside for turn 1, so you've still got to make sure that you can get the traction down and make sure you've got enough grip in those rear tyres to help you get that launch off the line. But we're just waiting for that last Alfa Romeo to take his slot now on the start-finish line. And it might take him a little bit of time then to make his way to the last grid slot here.
He doesn't want to rush, does he?
He doesn't want to rush. No, take the scenic route. By all means. Anyway, well, with the last Alfa Romeo on the grid, it means we are moments away from the Japanese Grand Prix here in TTL F1. And Recon now will be looking up at those 5 red lights. Well, they will come on eventually to signal the start of the 9th round of TTL F1. And here they are then in sequence. Here we go then. It is 5 red lights. We are underway, and what are the starts like? It looks like it's a clean start from everybody then as we make our way down towards turn 1. Carlsberg's got the jump then on Recon as we head towards turn 1. He's got the inside line and he's got the lead here of the Japanese Grand Prix. Meanwhile, Warren here has lost out to Shapalele. He might lose out to Navy here as well as he looks to move up a position. Navy gets that position away from Warren as well. King J then up to 7th place after that start. Good start from him, but you can see that Spike trying to go up the inside of Mashiro there. The door was always closing. He had to back out of that one as we head through the Dunlop curve for the first time then. And you can see lots of cars going side by side then as we head towards the first Degner as Mashiro goes up the inside of King J into Degner 1 there. I don't think King J would have seen that one coming at all. We've got yellow flags in sectors 1 and 2. It's a Mercedes that's off. It is Jeffrey that is off on behind, and King J onto the grass. Can he slow it down in time? He just makes contact with Vitinho there, but that could have ended a lot worse for King J there. I think he's just a little bit rattled right now. He might still have grass on those tyres. He's just got to take a couple of laps, or at least a couple of corners, to make sure those tyres are scrubbed clean. But he's now back down to P11 as we make our way through that spoon curve. But Kalsper, what a great start he had from the so-called dirty side of the track. He now leads here in Japan, heading through 130R for the first time, and now down towards the Casio Triangle. Recon might have had a say about that one. He saw the door open, but then backed out of it and knew it was closing in the end. But at the end of the first lap, Kalsper leads then from Recon. Toxic in third with Shapalele in fourth. Navy there is in fifth place with Warren in sixth. Mashiro seventh with Spike in eighth. The Gort in ninth with Vitinho now going side by side with the Williams for that final point scoring position then. And here is Vitinho then up the inside in towards the first corner. Normally don't see too wide through there, and we're not going to see it this time either. Vitinho going up to P9. Carlsbury then has managed to keep his head down. 13th place for him so far. But one of the close battles then is the battle for the lead of this race. Kalsper still leading then ahead of the championship leader in Recon. But at the moment, I think Recon will be quite happy right now. He's in a good position. All of his championship rivals are behind him. I think he's pretty happy with that.
Yeah, 5.5 tenths off. King J is off.
Yes.
Done off curve.
I don't know if you saw any of that, James, but all I saw was a yellow flag there.
I just saw a car going into the gravel. I think he might have had contact, unless he's got caught in the outside curve and then he's had contact trying to rejoin the track. That's where I think that might have happened. But yeah, 5.5 tenths separating Kalsper and Recon. Recon will be very happy indeed. I think through the middle sector he looks quicker than Kalsper at this stage. Toxic trying to follow in as well. My prediction not looking too shabby at the minute. Carlsbury's making his way up through the field. Toxic nearly into second. Yeah, it's going well for my prediction so far.
Well, Carlsbury has got Key ahead of him as we head towards 130R. Surely not too wide through here. We've only really seen it once before. But here we go then, through we go. Key actually picked up a little bit of the curb there. He's looking for a move down the inside of the Gort. Saw that door open, but he's got to take a compromise line through there, so he might leave himself open. But look at this. He's still right on the back of the Gort here. Still trying to go side by side here now.
Leader made contact through turn 1 and 2. Recon was trying to go around the outside of Kalsper, and they've made contact. And Toxic's now in the lead.
Well, there's carnage behind as well. Carlsbury, the Gort, caught up there. In fact, it was Key. Key caught up there, and I think that was the Gort as well. The Gort's retired from the session straight away. Key, I believe, is still running in this race. King J's also retired from the session in the pit lane. So 2 retirements there on the third lap of this race. Well, Toxic leads then. Kalsper in second, Shapalele in third. I think Toxic's birthday and Christmas present came all at once there. And the two leaders there came together at turn 1. He now leads. Does Kalsper have any damage to that car, I wonder?
Don't think, looking at his winglets, no. He hasn't got any damage whatsoever. It was just side-on contact. Kalsper off the camber of turn 1, leaning out towards Recon. Recon making contact with the side of his car. It won't go down as anything but a racing incident. It's simple as that. Kalsper, though, 1.1 seconds. He might be rattled, but he's still keeping up to Toxic.
Yeah, absolutely. But the only problem is he's got Shapalele right behind him as we make our way in towards that Casio Triangle. Kalsper will not have DRS on the car ahead, but Shapalele will. And Toxic there sets the fast lap of the race, 131.6. Look at Shapalele now. This is the only DRS zone on the track, and it's quite short in relative terms along the calendar. It is one of the shortest DRS straights on the calendar, and also it only comes around once. You've really got to try and make good use of it if you're going to make anything of it. Cass and Sean going side by side in towards turns 1 and 2. Here a Ferrari and an Alfa Romeo going side by side through turns 1 and 2. It didn't end well for the leaders of this race. It's not going to end well for these two either. Cass makes contact with Sean then as they made their way. I believe that was through turn 4 there. And I think, to be honest with you, Cass there, the door was always closing. I think the car came across. He had nowhere else to go. And he has now spun out. And he's got to be careful of those rear tyres as well. They would have heated up a ton there with that spin. And he's got to make sure he's got to cool those tyres first before he starts pushing again.
Yeah, Cass just trying to go for the inside there, move that wasn't really going to be his. I think Schulman's always going to come out on top of that one. But Cass now has got to put himself in the mindset. He's got 10 seconds now. He's got a clear track ahead of him. He's got the pace. I think he can still make a good result out of this if he continues on. Carlsbury, by the way, is making relentless progress through the field. He's right on the back of Vitinho, just coming down through Spoon as there's the yellow flag in Sector 1, and that is Jeffrey that spun there through the S section. I think at turn 5 that was, for Carlsbury, right on the back of Vitinho, and I think Recon could be lining up a move on Mashiro as well. It's could be 3 in a line running down the straight.
It could be. Warren here has got to do a good job here defending P5 at the moment, heading their way down towards turn 1. Where will the Williams go? Will he go for the inside move? You bet he will, down the inside. Whoa, that was close there. He's now got the inside for turn 2, and Warren sort of had to make an evasive move there. I don't think he was expecting Mashiro to launch down the inside like that. Mashiro took full advantage of that one, and actually Warren's from wide, and he's lost the car going through turn 4. This is unbelievable. Warren now has lost the car through there as Vitinho and Carlsbury go through. That's another position handed over to Carlsbury, just like that. He's now up to P9.
Could be up to P8 as well. He was trying to look around the outside of the S section through Vitinho. Now on the inside into Degler 1. Not going to get the move done through here. I think maybe up into the hairpin. He's going to get this move done. Carlsbury right on the back of Vitinho. Look at this action. Carlsbury not going to go for the move. Vitinho one slightly out wide. Carlsbury on the inside line. Could get the traction off the corner, but Vitinho always going to hang on around that more outside line that he took through there. But Carlsbury is not over and done with. He could go down the inside at Spoon.
He could do. It's a very unorthodox move, though, but he has backed out of it, sort of thinking taking an alternate line to Vitinho will help him there. It might do on the run out of the Spoon curve there. He picks up a little bit of grass. Now he's right on the back of Vitinho. Meanwhile, elsewhere, we've also got the battle between Shapalele and Kalsper, also with Recon and Mashiro. Heading our way now through the final corner. We're just going to ride on board with Recon here, as we've got yellow flags there in Sector 2. But there goes Recon then, a position gained on Mashiro there with the help of DRS. And Carlsbury then has got away past Vitinho then, James.
Yeah, Vitinho ran wide through 130R. Carlsbury on the end, on the inside line through the corner. Vitinho just let him have that one, and Carlsbury through up to 8th place, and he's now got a clear track ahead of him. Warren also losing the position to Sean in the meantime as well, and he ran wide, I think, through Spoon that was. Yeah,
I mean, these soft tyres might be seeing their peak performance drop now as we make our way now through the S's. But for Toxic, though, Cass is in. That could be
to the end.
And the front wing change as well, as he's actually retired from the session as well in the pit lane, so it's not been a great day for him. He now retires from the Japanese Grand Prix, becomes our 3rd retirement of this race, if you don't count Gort running in this race, as he's going around as a ghost car right now. Warren on the back of Sean then as we make our way towards the hairpin, but I tell you what, Kalsper's doing a number here on Toxic, because he's actually closing that gap now. It's now just over 0.8 of a second as we make our way out of Spoon Curve, and Shapalele's not too far away either to try and take full advantage of this one as we make our way in towards 130R. There is your race leader, Toxic, leading the way in the Red Bull. Kalsper in 2nd place with Shapalele in 3rd. Your top 3 then separated by less than 2 seconds as we make our way in towards that Casio triangle. And Toxic here will start the 7th lap of the Japanese Grand Prix in the lead.
Yeah, Toxic doing a good job, but those tyres are now beginning to wear. Kalsper within DRS range, beginning to close them up as Recon has set the new fastest lap of the race. And I've got to be honest, that gap was about 3 seconds to Navy. It's now 1.1. Recon is beginning to absolutely fly through this field as well. I think he's just managing those tyres to perfection. Looking through the field, I think Warren is on the back of Sean running down the strip. I don't think he's going to be close enough now. No way close enough to try and get that move done. But Toxic now under pressure. Kalsper looks like he's got the pace over Toxic at this stage in the race. And I wouldn't rule out Toxic actually losing a position on this lap to Kalsper. I think he might come in actually at the end of this lap.
Well, we'll have to wait and see here. Lap 7 of this Grand Prix, 21 laps to go, 20 and a bit if you're picky. And it is still Toxic who leads from Kalsper in 2nd, Shapalele in 3rd. Navy is in 4th place, 2.8 behind Shapalele at the moment. He's got Recon right behind him. 0.8 is the gap between them. And Recon here could have himself another position. Of course, he made contact there at the first corner between himself and Kalsper. That is why we have Toxic leading this race. And Kalsper here, let's have a look at him riding back on board with him in the slipstream of Toxic here. Now, the interesting thing about this one is the DRS at the end almost encourages you to have a move down towards the Casio triangle. Such is the short straight. You know, you don't really get that DRS benefit for too long. And also that the profile of the corner as well kind of punishes you for being on the inside. It's a really tight corner when you're going in on the inside there. So really, if anything, you don't want the DRS going down towards turn 1. But will Kalsper prove me entirely wrong here? Yeah, he backs out of it into turn 1, you see. Although the DRS zone is a really good run, it gets you the speed you need into turn 1. The profile of the corner really is heavily biased towards that inside. So where's the driver in front going to defend? Who's going to defend the inside line?
Tell you what, Kalsper is really beginning to push Toxic to his limits now, because Toxic is under all sorts of pressure, running wide at corners as well. This is not going to suit him well at all. The Red Bull now under pressure from the racing point. Schiaparelli could still have some sort of say in this as well. He's about 8/10 off at this stage, and Recon is right on the back of Navy as well. In the space of a lap, he's got that gap down from 1.1 to 0.4 of a second. Recon could have Navy this lap around.
He could do. Meanwhile, Kalsper here still right on the back of this Red Bull then as we make our way through turn 12. You can see that Kalsper trying to do everything he can to try and get that slipstream of Toxic then. Toxic getting that inside curve might have unsettled the car a little bit. You can see there Kalsper much tighter to the apex through the second part of Spoon Curve. And now you can see Kalsper really trying to roll down that gap between them. Through 130R we go. And now towards the Casio triangle, you can see that Toxic's trying to defend the inside line. Pretty much plants his car in the middle of the track there. And there's no way through for Kalsper right now. Toxic comes in. And Kalsper's left out there. So is Schiaparelli. As Toxic actually gets a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Meanwhile, then Recon is right on the back of Navy. I'm sort of thinking that Navy made a mistake out of the final corner because Recon has breezed past him there in towards turn 1. But for the Dutchman, he's back onto the podium. Oh, that's a spinner there. There's Key. I think it was. Yes, it is Key at the Dunlop curve.
Yep, Key spinning around in the Dunlop curve. Navy, I think, got caught on the bump just coming out of the beside the pit wall. Recon managing to get it around the outside. Job done, quite literally. And Recon's up to P3. And I wouldn't rule him out actually having some sort of say in the end result, because obviously he made that contact. The yellow flag in sector 2. Cass is out the race, and that again is Key off track. But I've got to say, Recon looks the quicker of the cars out on track tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Meanwhile, Toxic has re-emerged behind his teammate Warren here. Now, I wonder if there's going to be team orders in this one. I think Warren is focused here. Yes, he is, yeah. Team orders absolutely in play there. So Toxic is let through then. He's on those medium tyres. He's on a fresh set of tyres. They're on different strategies. I think that's the right call there from Warren. Although he won't want to have done that. We know he's got a winning mentality. He doesn't want to do that. But in that case, I think he knew he had to.
Yeah, I mean, he's on a set of soft compound of tyres as well. Warren obviously has made a couple of mistakes so far this race. Toxic right on the back then of Sean. Warren was on the back of Sean just before he let him through. So they were battling essentially for race position. Navy is into the pits. Toxic is just literally looking at Sean here, thinking, no way around the outside of the Casio triangle. I don't think so. No way. Oh, Sean just positions that car well enough, but Toxic is giving this every ounce of beans that he's got in that Red Bull and is trying to get onto the back of Sean as Warren is into the pits in behind, and Toxic down the straight, easy as you like, job done. No quarrels about that one, he's up to 7th.
Yeah, absolutely. With that DRS, managing to get that position then as Key now retires from the race entirely. So he's now our 4th retirement of this Japanese Grand Prix. Lap 10 here. Kalsper still leads then as we make our way in towards that hairpin. Schiaparelli in 2nd. Recon running in 3rd place with Spike in 4th. Carlsbury in 5th with Vitinho in 6th. Toxic pretty much top of the runners that have stopped already. He's in 7th place with Sean in 8th. Navy's rejoined there in 9th place. Mashiro's rejoined in 10th with Warren there rejoining in 11th place. Jeffrey then still running around on the track there. Fair play to him in 12th place. Still trying to put the car around. Still chance for points. You never know.
Warren.
And Warren has spun again at the S's.
Yeah, through turn 5. It clearly beached in the gravel. Used the reset to track feature there.
Yeah, well,
so I'll settle that.
Well, I think he might be struggling with his wrist there. It's such a track which demands you to be steering that wheel almost constantly. The only respite you get is this straight here to 130R. Then there's a little bit of a rest towards the Casio triangle. Meanwhile, Toxic here side by side with Vitinho then, and I think Vitinho just let him go there. No point battling, and Toxic now moves up to 6th place. As you said, Kalsper into the pits then. He's now making his way towards the pit lane exit. Let's see where he rejoins, but it's obviously a compromised run down towards turn 1. Now you can see Toxic will retake that position once again, but there you can see Kalsper and Vitinho. Vitinho saw him coming and left the door open on the inside for his teammate to go through. Again, team orders at full play there. And Kalsper's rejoined right on the back of Toxic. No rest for Toxic at this moment in time. But one thing for Kalsper is that he didn't have as much traffic as Toxic did. So even though Toxic had to battle his way through at one point, he still re-emerged ahead of Kalsper. That's the power of the undercut.
It is power of the undercut. I think around here you can gain around 1.2 seconds per lap per undercut. So Kalsper actually going overcut has actually cost him the lead of the race. 7/10 off him at this stage. This is for the net lead, of course. Schiaparelli and Recon still yet to come into the pits. And actually Recon beginning to bridge that gap down to Schiaparelli as well. So what this is going to bring into play, possibly later on in the race, Recon and Schiaparelli could have a chance to win this. It could be a straight four-way battle for the win, because I don't think Navy, he's got traffic ahead of him, obviously guys to pit ahead of him out on track, and Recon is into the pits. This is going to be intriguing. Can't wait to see what this happens when this happens out.
It is indeed. Well, here comes Toxic then towards the Casio triangle. We've already seen here that the overcut is going to cost you some time, but how much time? Oh, Toxic, the back end goes out there. Kalsper would have seen that one. You can see then Recon in that pit lane. They'll fly past him, but where will the Ferrari rejoin? Where will the championship leader rejoin? He'll rejoin behind Vitinho. I think he might rejoin behind Sean here. It's going to be close in towards turn 1. Sean wanted to go around the outside, but Recon has just about got ahead of the Alfa Romeo. That was important because Sean hasn't stopped in this race yet, so really important that Recon got out ahead of him. That's exactly what's happened.
Massively important for Recon that. He's got Vitinho 1.3 seconds up the road at this moment in time. He's ahead of Navy as well. He's actually undercut Navy in the pits. Well, he's actually overcut him, actually. Toxic and Kalsper, though, 0.5 of a second. Kalsper looks quicker of the two. Don't rule out the racing point don't rule out the racing point to try and overtake him on this lap, because Kalsper has got serious pace. Toxic will just be thinking, well, how can I defend him?
Yeah, absolutely, but Toxic has been defending him before. He's picked the right places, he's picked the right lines, but there you can see...
Oh,
Toxic.
Easy.
Well, sorry, Recon there, as you say, right on the inside of Vitinho there. Vitinho on 11-lap-old medium tyres. Probably saw... wasn't an idea to battle. Schiaparelli, meanwhile, into the pits. Here's Kalsper there. Look at the overspeed he has on the Red Bull then as we make our way now down towards the Casio triangle. The racing point on the outside then becomes the inside, and he's got the corner. He's got the move done. However, Toxic then still has the DRS then as we make our way down towards the start-finish straight. Kalsper in that time set the fastest lap of the race. Here comes Toxic then in the slipstream of Kalsper then, but just taps the back of him and not willing to go down the inside there in towards turn 1. So Kalsper then holds on to 3rd place at this moment in time. Schiaparelli rejoins in 7th place, again just ahead of Navy and just ahead of Sean as well. And now he can really try and get the lap times in here. Can he try and get his way past Recon once again? But Recon is on one right now. 5th place, 3.8 seconds behind Toxic, and expect that that gap between them to drop and drop.
Yeah, Kalsper and Toxic actually beginning to battle, which is why Recon is beginning to bridge that gap in. Schiaparelli has got to dispose of Vitinho into the hairpin to stand any sort of chance of trying to get a top 3 in this race. Trying to go down the inside, I don't think he will. Vitinho goes a little bit deep. But are we going to see a similar thing to what we saw with Recon as he tried to go around the outside here? Vitinho was so much slower that Recon got around the outside of him. This time, Schiaparelli will just have to sit and wait. And in fact, just messes up his braking point slightly and ran slightly wide there. But Recon, 3.5 seconds off. This is going to be a very intriguing... Well, we've just gone through halfway as well.
Absolutely. Warren's had another moment at the Dunlop curve then, so it's not going well for him so far. But at the moment, Toxic's still trying to close him down. Schiaparelli, meanwhile, gets away past Vitinho. And of course, Vitinho is yet to stop in this race. He's got Navy behind him as well, but Recon here is not lying down here. Side by side again for the leaders, Carlsbury and Spike then, and Carlsbury takes the lead of this race then. But of course, both drivers leading this race right now, Carlsbury and Spike, still have yet to pit. And Carlsbury is only 2.8 behind Spike. That means he's only about 3.1, 3.2 behind Carlsbury. So he's almost a pit stop behind Carlsbury. It's going to be a mountain to climb for him if he wants any chance of being on the podium.
Carlsbury will be coming out in around net 7th position. I'm making it out as at the moment in time, because Vitinho and Sean have got to pit in behind. Jeffrey as well got to pit behind, but he's nowhere near these guys at the minute. But Carlsbury and Spike, obviously Carlsbury getting that move done, that's going to be important to him later on in the race. He's going to go so deep into the race that he'll make the set of soft compound of tyres work. You should see maybe him sneaking up to around 17, 18 laps maybe on a set of mediums before he pits in.
It's gonna be tight, I think. Obviously, we know how long the soft tyres will last. They last around about 9 or 10 laps, so possibly 16, maybe 17 laps, probably near to what you said there, James. So, yeah, I think we'll expect them in the next 2 or 3 laps because they want to maximise the soft tyre stint.
Are they going to come into the pits? No, Carlsbury and Spike stay out, so they're going to go at least another lap on that set of medium compound of tyres. Lap 15, as Navy is right on the back of Vitinho, just through the Casio triangle. And I think for more important purposes, Toxic trying to close up on Carlsbury, but not getting close enough. But Navy right on the back of Vitinho. Surely, oh, look at the overspeed. Oh, this is job done already. The speed of that McLaren, literally, it's almost as if he had a jetpack underneath that bonnet. And Navy is steering up to 7th, easy as you like.
Yeah, I've never heard someone call a bonnet on a Formula 1 car before. But there are great days, and these are some of them. Oh, Toxic there. Got a little bit wayward there through turn 7 and of the Dunlop curve. The back end wanted to step out on him. He went onto the grass slightly, unsettled the car, but he was managing to keep it all together. Not losing too much time, but the heart rate would definitely have gone up a little bit there.
Yeah, Toxic's just got to try and maintain that gap to Carlsbury, because obviously these two are catching Carlsbury and Spike at a rate of knots. Warren finally gives in. Salute him, though, for going around with the broken wrist out on track. Phenomenal drive to get over halfway and then to give in. Phenomenal stuff. And Toxic, though, right on the back of Carlsbury. I've honestly got to admit, though, Recon is looking quicker out the net top 3 at this moment in time. He's 2.5 seconds off Toxic and Carlsbury, catching at a rate of knots. These two will come into a little bit of traffic. Recon will then close up. Recon surely is going to be right there before the end of the race.
Well, only time will tell how this is going to play out. We have 12 laps to go then. It is Carlsbury who leads from Spike, but they are both yet to pit. But look at Carlsbury now, closing in on the top 2 right now. And Toxic is very much going to try and follow him through. This should be an interesting one. What do the top 2 do right now? Do they try and battle away and try and wear out the tyres of Carlsbury and Toxic? Or do they just let them through and say, you know what, we're on different strategies, I'll get you towards the end?
They've got to think about their own race, and if honestly I was in their position, I'd just try and continue battling as much as possible, try and hold up the leaders and bring Recon into play. That's what I think. Certainly, I know Carlsbury might do, as he picked up a 3-second penalty through about technical 2 there. Spike, on the other hand, I don't think he will. He might just let Carlsbury and Toxic through. It remains to be seen, because they're right on the back of them now.
Yeah, Carlsbury taking a different line there in towards the hairpin, try and prioritise the apex of the corner so that he gets a good run through turn 12. I'll tell you what, it's worked, because he's now right on the gearbox of Spike, then heading through Spoon Curve. But you can see there Spike's car understeering into the entrance of turn 13 there. Carlsbury now will have that lovely slipstream here. You can see they will be deploying that ERS now. Are they going to go side by side through 130? Oh, you bet they are. Carlsbury up the inside, gets the position there, and Spike running off the track to try and keep at least a track battling position there. Ooh. But Carlsbury then got the position. Toxic. Toxic run into the back of Spike, then into the pit wall he goes, and Toxic is out. He's out of the race entirely. Into the back of Spike he went, and into that wall he went as well, and Toxic's day is done.
I don't think Toxic was expecting Spike to come into the pit lane. That's what has happened there, I think. I can't believe it. Toxic out of the race. It's his rear tyre that's actually gone, not his front tyre. It's his rear tyre that's actually gone. This just brings the race into a whole new complexion.
Absolutely, 11 laps to go. It is Kalsper who leads. Now it is Recon in second place, 2.8 seconds behind. Shapalele there is in third place with Navy in fourth. Mashiro in fifth with Carlsbury in sixth. Spike there in seventh place, rejoining now on a set of the soft tyres. Sean now moves up to eighth place ahead of Vitinho in ninth. And I'll tell you what, Jeffrey, when he gets onto the same lap as Toxic, might have a chance of scoring some points here. He's stayed in this race. He's had a really, really tough race, but by staying in this race, he's given himself a good chance of getting some points.
Keep calm and carry on. I think that's his motto here tonight for Jeffrey. The Dutchman still going around out on track. He will obviously overtake Toxic's AI car, which was beside the pit wall, in about half a lap's time. He's got Gort's AI about 55 seconds about behind him, so doesn't need to worry. There is a battle, though, happening out on track, and it is between the Brazilian and the Brit, Sean and Vitinho, currently out on track. Soft compound of tyres they've gone on. Highly suspect they're going to be quite worn towards the end of the race because they've pitted in now. 9 laps to go for the leaders. Sean and Vitinho are going to have to do a mountain job to try and get these home without them puncturing.
Yeah, as well as that, when the top 10 started on them, they had the heavy fuel loads. Of course, they had 2 or 3 laps worn in on the tyres already. So I think these soft tyres should make it to the end of the race. But, as you say, James, the performance on them is not going to be the same as it was on the very first lap of their stint. So they've got to be careful, even though their car is lighter. Therefore, it should be easier on the tyres. It might not be that way entirely. Sean, though, having to defend hard from Vitinho there. You can see he's trying to take a different line. Where will Vitinho go? He'll go around the outside here in towards turn 1, then still trying to go around the outside there. But Sean was having none of it, and Vitinho has to back out of that one there. Tough defending there from Sean, but Vitinho is still right behind him and ready to battle for another lap.
Sean, brilliant defending there down the inside line. Knew Vitinho was going to go around the outside. I think Vitinho actually just got caught, his rear left tyre got caught in a little bit of grass, which unsettled the car down into turn 1, which is probably why he didn't get the move done there. Sean and Vitinho, though, still 7/10 of a second away. And Recon not really getting on Kalsper. It's 2.3 seconds the battle, the gap for the lead as Toxic has left the session. But we do thank him, of course, for attending. Recon, though, on the back of Kalsper. He's got a lap fresher tyres, but I don't see his performance coming into the end of the race. I think Recon, like he normally does in qualifying, will leave it late to try and catch Kalsper. But Kalsper at the minute has got every answer to Recon's questions at this stage.
Yeah, absolutely, and as the overcast skies loom over Suzuka, Kalsper leads here from Recon in second place, Shapalele there in third, with Navy in fourth. Carlsbury actually goes quickest and sets the fastest lap of the race in a 1:29.992 from the Finnish driver there. It is Mashira there in fifth, and speaking of the devil, it's Carlsbury in sixth place. Spike there in seventh with Sean in eighth. Vitinho running in ninth, and Jeffrey now is into the top 10 and ready to score some points. He's just got to keep it on that black stuff, and he's got a point to his name.
Yeah, just still riding on board there with Sean and Vitinho. Yeah, Jeffrey getting a point to his name, and he's still got to continue on. He will get those tyres easily to the end of the race. Sean and Vitinho. Vitinho again, just trying to look around the outside line on Sean. Not going to get the move done though, because Sean parked his car right in the middle of the track. And it was like parking the bus, like someone's defence right there. But Sean still in eighth, Vitinho in ninth, and Carlsbury catching Mashiro, which is not a surprise. Carlsbury now beginning to get into this. He's not surely on for top 3, is he?
Well, I tell you what, it's not out of the question entirely. The only problem with Carlsbury is that he's got the soft tyres on, which wear quicker than the medium tyres. So although he has the pace now, towards the end of this race, he's got to be careful because those tyres may, the delta will have equalled out between the mediums and the softs. So let's see how that goes. It's quite a distance between himself and Shapalele at the moment. In fact, it's around 14 seconds, maybe even more than that. So it is going to be a tough thing for Carlsbury to try and grab a podium here. But never say never. He's got Mashiro ahead of him, one car at a time, 8 laps to go. Well, it looks a little bit out of his reach here, but I've been proven wrong before. I'll be happily proven wrong again.
Yeah, it's about actually 10.7 seconds, I think I'll make that out as currently. Carlsbury still beginning to get onto the back of Mashiro. My voice is beginning to go, if you can tell, which is not great. Always happens towards the end of the race. I don't know why.
I got to say, the toxic retirement took a lot out of you, I have to say. I did notice that. But anyway, Carlsbury still trying to hunt down Mashiro. Then Mashiro in front of his home fans there. P5 for him at the moment in a little bit of a race of his own. Sometimes ends up that way for Mashiro. It's not quite quick enough to challenge those front runners, but he's quicker than those behind him. But one driver he might not be quicker than is Carlsbury here. We've already seen Mashiro make diving moves up the inside and making them stick. This time, he's got to try and defend from Carlsbury here, who will try and pick off his moment whenever he can. But the more Carlsbury battles Mashiro here, the more his tyres will wear out, and therefore he'll have less tyres to play around with at the end of this race. Let's see as we head towards 130R for the 21st time running on board with Carlsbury, as we make our way now through that left-hander, full throttle through there, onwards now towards the Casio triangle. And again, Carlsbury still waiting and preempting that move. He's wanting to try and manufacture it first, but Carlsbury now, look at this, Mashiro moves to the right-hand side, and look at that then, just breezes past as Carlsbury then, and then Mashiro tucks back in behind to see if he can get some slipstream down towards turn 1. But honestly, Mashiro didn't make too much of a battle there, just let Carlsbury through, and now Carlsbury up to 5th place.
Yeah, Carlsbury making that look very easy indeed. Mashiro, I don't think, had the pace down the straight, even though actually down the straight, Carlsbury was running in ERS mode 0, so literally 0 ERS. There is a yellow flag in sector 1. I think Navy's off. It is indeed Navy through the Dunlop curve. I think he's got caught on the inside curve.
Yeah, he has. He was all on his own, and that is a mistake for Navy then, as he now drops down to 6th place. Another position handed to Carlsbury, and look at that now, 9.7 between himself and Chapalele now. Let's have a look and see how that gap develops. But Navy will be absolutely kicking himself there. Well, 4th place he was at that point in a really comfortable position. But now a single mistake has put him now down to 6th place. And on those medium tyres, he's going to find it hard to get back up to where he was.
Yeah, Navy as well, in terms of the championship, obviously 2nd coming into tonight, being outscored by Carlsbury, being outscored by Recon. So Navy will actually drop to 3rd in the standings after tonight's race. As it stands currently out on track, that is the case. Carlsbury now beginning to bridge the gap to Chapalele. 9.3 seconds is pretty much a mountain to climb. He's got to climb Everest if he wants to try. No, in fact, he's got to climb Mount Fuji if he wants to try and get this. But Chapalele is still 9.3 seconds clear, and I don't see that gap. I think we're pretty much on for the top 3 as we are. However, Recon beginning to bridge the gap to Carlsberg.
Yeah, absolutely. 2 seconds now. It's just dropped under to 1.9. Meanwhile, Vitinho still trying to chase down Sean. He's not done with that battle for 8th place right now. Not yet, anyway. In that slipstream he goes then down towards turn 1, looking for a move then. Has to go around the outside, but Sean's got it covered. Then Sean clips the inside curb, though. Vitinho sees the door open up, and he can't quite take advantage, and Sean is able to hold on to 8th place there. An error from Sean, though. Vitinho saw the gap open up, but just didn't quite have the grip. Not quite enough gusto there to take full advantage of that, and Sean holds on to 8th place.
Yeah, Sean holding on to 8th there. Vitinho right on the back of him, though, still 0.5 of a second. What Vitinho, I think, has got to do at this stage is force Sean into a mistake. Try and pick up a weak point that is on track, and Vitinho will try and expose that to Sean. Try and force him into that mistake and try and get the position, because I don't think Vitinho down the straight has got the straight line speed. So he's got to have to make it up either in the corners or force Sean into a mistake.
Carlsberg starts lap 23 in the lead of this race then. Really good performance from him so far. Recon 1.9 seconds behind. Chapalele in 3rd. Carlsbury 4th. Mashiro 5th. With Navy in 6th. Spike in 7th. Sean 8th. Vitinho in 9th. We're watching that battle right now. And Jeffrey is in 10th place. Last of the runners right now. Meanwhile, Vitinho closing in on Sean as we head towards 130R. But he backs out of it here. Who's smoother through 130R, I wonder. Heading now down towards the Casio triangle through the final couple of corners. Vitinho had the inside line but decided not to try and go through with it. He's trying to wait for the DRS zone here, as the back end did want to jump out on him there. He saw that wall coming but was perfectly in control. Vitinho then with the DRS this time moves to the inside line as we head now down towards turn 1. Through we go in towards turn 2. Sean trying to hold on to the outside here. Can he try and keep a hold of that position through turn 3, now through turn 4, and the Alfa Romeo just about holds on to P8.
Fantastic driving there by Sean. He's all out of shape though, coming through the S section. Vitinho could have another go at him. Not going to be quite close enough. Spike in the meantime, right on the back of Navy, and suddenly came from absolutely nowhere. Navy, of course, made that mistake up in the Dunlop curve a couple of laps ago. Spike now 5.5 tenths off him. Carlsberg's gap beginning to close down to 1.4 seconds. Recon looks stronger in the first and the final sector than than Carlsberg at the stage. But just as I've said that, the gap is now extended back out to 2 seconds. I think Recon actually made a mistake at the final corner there.
Yeah, battles all up and down the field right now. Carlsberg still leading the way, 1.8 between himself and Recon right now. Chapelele still in third place as it stands. Mashiro picks up a 5-second time penalty. Now that might drop him down the order there. That was through the Casio triangle there. So at the moment it could drop him down to 7th place at least. Vitinho then is going side by side as we head towards the Casio triangle. I think they went side by side through 130R. Vitinho then takes a hold of 8th place, moves up a position. Sean though will have the DRS as he makes his way towards that start finish line. Will he? Yes he will. You can see the DRS open then as we head down towards turn 1, but I don't think it's going to be close enough here to try and move. Vitinho holding on to that 8th place position right now, and Sean down to 9th. Meanwhile then Spike is trying to make life difficult for Navy here as we head through the Degners, then through Degner 1, then through Degner 2. Spike here wanting to try and grab 6th place. I think Navy with that spin would have taken so much life out of those tyres that he's got to try and conserve them even more now.
You can see actually on the back rear, the left, that the tyres are beginning to blister on that McLaren. Just faintly I can see that. That's why I've got my glasses on to see. Spike in the meantime, right on the back of Navy. He is making life very difficult for the McLaren man, and the Dutchman, of course, could lose another position here tonight in terms of the championship battle. Spike, obviously nowhere near him in the championship, could just make life a little bit more difficult for Navy. Carlsberg, though, with him currently outscoring Recon and everyone else in the championship standings, is going to leap himself into that championship battle with 2 races to go. Carlsberg is not out of the championship battle by any stretch of the imagination. Spike in the meantime though, right on the back of Navy running down the straight. Is he going to be close enough down towards turn 1? Looking at the closing speed, I don't think he will be unless he tries to force it around the outside. Navy hanging off the camber of the corner, and it stays as it is as Navy holds on to 6th position, and Sean right on the back of Vitinho.
Yeah, you can see their Spike try and take a different line there, but not quite enough there. But he runs onto the grass. So too did Navy earlier on in the lap. Here comes Sean then down the inside in towards turn 1. There you saw Vitinho have to go off the track there. He was thinking just to take evasive action. Here we go then through turn 3. And Vitinho again has to back out of that one. He's got himself a 3-second time penalty there, which was very unfortunate because he ran wide there. He thought he had to take evasive action. Obviously the stewards didn't think it was evasive action. And he's now dropped to 9th place. 3 seconds slapped on the wrist there. That'll be added to the end of his race. But he's still behind Sean here. Never say never. And he still could get that position off of Sean depending on the penalties. We won't really know what the penalties are like until we get to the end of this race. Mainly because, James, we're not going to take our eyes off this action.
We're definitely not going to take our eyes off this action. Vitinho's just trying to fight the car there through the hef, and he's still making life a little bit difficult for Sean. Sean, in the meantime, did have, on the beginning of this lap, about double the amount of ERS compared to Vitinho, and that is key towards the end of the race because he has saved up enough ERS now pretty much to go towards the end of the race and try and outrun Vitinho to the line. Spike, in the meantime, on the back of Navy, 5/10s coming out the final corner, not going to be close enough, and I think Spike realises that as Navy's got about double the amount of ERS as well. Gap for the lead still 1.4 seconds. Recon beginning to eye up that gap a little bit, and Carlsberg beginning to come back to him. I don't think, though, they're going to change positions.
Well, you've heard it here first, I guess. Here, meanwhile, is Vitinho now with the DRS on Sean, then heading down towards turn 1. He's got the inside line this time around. He'll try and hold on to the apex as best as he can, which he does exactly that. Moves now up to 8th place ahead of Sean. Meanwhile, then, let's focus our attention on the lead of this race then. Carlsberg, 1.2 seconds ahead of Recon here, but he's only got 1 and a bit laps to go. It's not far at all to that checkered flag here for Carlsberg, and he could grab grab back-to-back wins here. Right now, he's got about 6.5 kilometres to go until that checkered flag. Here he goes then through the Casio triangle, downwards now through the final corner and onwards to start the final lap here of the Japanese Grand Prix. He'll start it in the lead. Where will he finish it? Kalsper looking to try and make it back-to-back wins here in TTL F1 as he now makes his way through turns 1 and 2. You can see Recon there 1.5 seconds behind. That gap has increased by 0.2 of a second. In fact, you saw Recon there get up onto the curbs and unsettle the car. Yeah, he's saving fuel as well. So that's not going to help him at all. Meanwhile, Kalsper here will try and ride off into the distance as he makes his way through the Dunlop curve for the final time. That's a really horrible corner if you haven't got the car set up right at all. A perfect corner if you have. Making our way now through the Degner curves then, through Degner 2 and under the bridge at this only figure of 8 circuit on the calendar. Making our way through turn 10, onwards now towards turn 11. And now trying to get that car nice and smooth on the exit. Then again, 1.2 seconds between the two of them. It really has stabilised between 1.2 and 1.5, that gap between them. But at the moment, Kalsper is just about doing enough then. Through Spoon Curve he goes. Sean then makes a move on Vitinho through turn 1. We saw that on the minimap. We didn't see it on the stream. But Kalsper here making his way once again towards 130R for the 27th and final time here for the Japanese Grand Prix. Flying through full throttle for the last time, and now towards that Casio triangle once again. Through he goes to try and keep it nice and tidy. Through he goes through the final corner, and Kalsper will make it back-to-back wins. He wins the Japanese Grand Prix, and Recon finishes in second place there, 1.8 seconds down in the end. And Shapalele here, although he's had a bit of a quiet race, sometimes those are the best races to have, because it's earned him a podium here for the Renault, and he will finish in third place here at the Japanese Grand Prix. Carlsbury from the back of the grid will finish in fourth place. Great drive from him, and he will finish in fourth place there. Fifth place then will go to Mashiro, but Navy and Spike were battling towards the line, although Mashiro will have that penalty applied, will he? Oh, he just about got ahead.
Oh.
Navy then in sixth, Spike
Vitinho.
in seventh, Vitinho and Shaw going side by side through 130. The battle for eighth place has come to full swing now through the final couple of corners. Remember,
brilliant.
Vitinho has the penalties, but he made the move on track, and he'll get the position on track. How about through penalties? Sean will get the position through penalties, but it's 2 wins back-to-back for the race winner of Carl. Of who won? You know what? It's the first time in my commentary career that I've forgotten who won the race. That was so exciting. But there you can see the race winner on the top of the podium. What a race we had, James.
Fantastic win, and actually, to correct you, Kalsper has taken back-to-back wins. Took it in Belgium, took it in Singapore, and now here in Japan.
Well, there you go. I mean, it all came to full fruition, didn't it, towards the end of the race there. I don't think you're going to see a mistake like that from me ever again, so I hope you're recording. Hopefully you'll never forget. I know I'll never forget, because you won't let me forget. But what a day then for the race winner. Triple, or 3 in a row if you like then, from our race winner there. But here are your unofficial results for the Japanese Grand Prix here in TTL F1. Kalsper with the win, with Recon in second place, Shapalele in third, with Carlsbury in fourth, Mashiro in fifth, with Navy in sixth, Spike then in seventh, with Sean in eighth, Vitinho ninth, and Jeffrey did get that point at the end there. The Court, Toxic, Warren, Key, Cass, King J all retired from the race then, and I believe the fastest lap of the race went to the only person who got into the 129s. It was Carlsbury, who will get himself an extra point towards his championship tally towards the end of the season. Well, only 2 rounds to go. Recon had a good race then. He finished ahead of all of his championship rivals and extends his lead at the top of the championship. A good day for the Dutchman.
Great day for the Dutchman. Of course, that contact, I think, might have just set him back with Kalsper, but you can't argue with the result. Kalsper, clearly the quicker man out on track, clearly had the pace on Recon, and clearly won a treble out on track, because obviously he took Belgium, Singapore, and now here in Japan. And what a win for him as well. And that, as I said earlier on, that has bumped him up in the championship standings. He's going to be about 50 points off going into the final 2 races. He might be mathematically out of it, but it looks a lot of promise for this season if he signed up. If he hasn't, sign up, because I want to see you next season.
And that is a James demand. We don't get many of them, but you have to follow them. Hopefully you have enjoyed tonight's action, and if you have and you want to see more, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Lots going on here at TTTV. Make sure you are subscribed as well, and hit the notification bell so you're notified every time there's a race here on TTTV. Next time we go live will be tomorrow. I believe we'll be joined by the lovely Mr. James Head.
Yeah, TTL F2 Challenge Cup will be on tomorrow night. It is Australia and China tomorrow night. I think it's from... I'm just going to check the time, just to correct myself, because I was going to say 7 o'clock, and I'm not sure what time it is. But I'll confirm that now, and it doesn't have a time up, which is absolutely fantastic. Anyways, join me tomorrow. It'll be on at some point. It'll probably be either 7 or 8 o'clock.
Yeah, and all the more reason to put the notification bell on so you know exactly when James is going live. And he has said 8 o'clock, so there you go. So don't miss that one either. Make sure you are subscribed to the league as well on Twitter. Subscribe to the league. I really have been away for too long. Make sure you follow the league on Twitter at TTL_F1. If you like the commentary team, I don't know how you like me, but you can also follow me if you like at KS McGinley. That's MCGINLEY. And you can also follow Mr. James Head on Twitter as well at B52Head. That's Bravo 52 Head. Well, James, quite an interesting return for myself. Lots of mistakes everywhere you looked. But it's good to be back.
It's fantastic to be back, and I think we were treated to an overall a very good race. The first couple of laps, obviously, there was a bit of bumping and barging, a bit of scrimmaging about, but that's what you come to expect in Formula 1 racing, and especially in TTL F1, where the grid is so talented. Hopefully, we are going to get a repeat of that next week in the USA, where hopefully we will see a lot of overtakes. Yeah,
and a track that's designed for drivers to make overtakes. It should be a great one. So make sure you do join us next week for the US Grand Prix for the penultimate round of this season of TTL F1. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching. I've been Kieran McGinley.
I've been James Head.
Take care of yourselves, and we will see you next time.